Although I'd been itching to get back on the road, I wasn't able to start the next leg of my journey until August the 9th. The reason was simple, but no less frustrating. I needed to replace my chain and sprockets, and the 9th was the soonest I was able to make an appointment. So I headed down the M25 towards Dover to get the work done, and immediately ran into traffic, so let's put on another filtering compilation. Once I made it to my appointment and dropped off my bike, I met up with my mum's friend Paul. Since they met on a music group, I knew we had that much in common, and I could talk music for hours anyway, but I didn't also expect to bond over the nerdy side of our personalities. The only shame is that his son, also called Callum, wasn't able to tag along with his H2. If you don't know bikes, the H2 is the most powerful street legal bike in the world. It is a very impressive machine, and I would have loved to have seen one. Either way, I spent a couple of hours chatting with Paul, having a lovely afternoon in the sun, getting a little bit sunburned, and once my bike was ready, I went back on my way down the back roads toward the channel. My crossing was done just after 5, so I planned to stop around 6:30 to set up camp before leaving in the morning. But of course, things never quite go the way you expect. It turns out that a lot of the campsites in France close at around 5 o'clock on a Saturday, so I wasn't actually able to check in anywhere. I spent about an hour and a half checking out all sorts of different campsites, striking out every time before I bit the bullet and booked a hostel down in Lille. So I didn't pull in there until nearly 10 o'clock at night. So much for taking it easy, eh? There is one more thing about France which I have to mention, which is the food. Even before looking into places to stay for the night, my first order of business was to look for a place to have dinner. I figured Calais would be extremely busy with tourist prices, so I decided to head down the road to Dunkirk instead. Where I stopped off was just the kitchen of a bar. It was called La Tête d'Or, or the Golden Head. First dinner in France, I stopped at a burger place. Got there just before a whole pile of people though. I nearly did very well except for the bit where they asked about the receipt. I didn't have high expectations, I hoped it would be decent. I didn't expect it to be perhaps one of the best burgers of my life. Although this is meant to be mostly the story of my motorbiking, I also just really like food, so I will gush about a lot of the food I eat along the way. Starting, of course, with breakfast the very next morning.
Well, I stopped off at a bakery. Of course one does. Have to visit the boulangerie while you're in France. Got an enormous bagel for €5, which is just fantastic. Smoked salmon, salad, the works. And my goodness, it's a very good bagel. I could get used to this. Shame I'm heading to Belgium in an hour. Whenever I'm done, basically.
Of course, because I was eating breakfast on my own, it gave me plenty of time to think.
I was just thinking to myself aloud, of course, as one does, that I'm feeling very good this morning. And it's only 10 o'clock. Getting myself out on the road nice and early. It's nice being content with life. It really is. We hope the rest of the day keeps up like this.
After leaving Lille, I crossed into Belgium around 10:30 in the morning. I followed the highways to Brussels, where I stopped off for a couple of hours to wander around and enjoy the city. My first stop was a farmer's market that I was passing by and decided to stop in on a whim. After that, I headed over to the Royal Palace. As I was standing around admiring it, I saw a Fireblade roll up, basically the bigger brother of my CBR, and the owner started up a conversation. I'm sorry to say that I've forgotten his name. It might have been John, but he'd done about 50,000 miles on his own CBR 650 before upgrading and had nothing but good things to say about it. My stop to Brussels was also where I had an auspicious moment. Let me show you.
So I unintentionally did this in Scotland. I thought I'd set up deliberately here in Brussels. This is me 1 month to the minute, more or less. Yeah, 1 month to the minute since I pulled out of my driveway. Right now, I am in front of the theatre, I believe. Lovely little plaza. I just got myself some fresh waffles. Honestly, it's been a very, the month has gone by very quickly. I kind of surprised myself when I realized the date, but it's been a good month altogether.
From there, I headed east. I'd booked a place in Haarlem, just outside Amsterdam, so I had a long afternoon's ride ahead of me.
About 10 minutes from the Netherlands border, so I'm going to want to get off the highway for that so I can stop and take a picture, as one does. That'll be another just under 2 hours to make it to the place I'm staying tonight. Gonna be a long one. That's why we take breaks.
Let me jump in real quick. We're still watching footage from the 9th. That was just Paul, who rode with me a little bit of the way towards the channel after my service. Hi Paul! And we're getting into some of the nicer footage from the 9th as well. Once I got off the highway, the sun dappling through the trees looked really pretty, but it made it absolute hell to figure out what the road surface was actually like. Aside over, let's get back to the main story.
I've made it to the Netherlands, and they didn't even have a sign or anything. It's kind of disappointing.
That's right, the only indication that I'd changed countries was a speed limit sign and a slight difference in road surface. Although I crossed the border around 4 o'clock, I had a lot more riding to do that afternoon and evening.
It is 5:45. I needed a bit of a rest, so I took a break just outside Utrecht. Just gonna sit, have some chocolate, have a drink. Still expected to be there about 6:30 at this rate. Netherlands haven't been bad altogether. I've quite liked them.
I stayed in Haarlem for 2 nights so I could take a day trip into Amsterdam. While I was staying there, I realised I had a relatively ambitious plan for the next 2 days riding.
Once I leave here, it's going to be a long day. I'm going to be going all the way to Hamburg, which is about 5 hours of riding, which is a lot. It's not my favourite thing in the world, but we can do it. Same thing with the next day, Hamburg to Hirtshals is another 5 hours or so. Yeah, I just need to leave nice and early, make sure I take plenty of breaks, because it's doable. Difficult, but doable.